Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I guess you can start. It's 3:30 p.m. Paul, can you hear that you can hear me and that you can see my screen?
Yes, I confirm both things. We can hear you and we can see your screen.
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll start. As you all know, this webinar will be recorded. Okay, so it's also, if anyone will join later, we will publish the link to the video. And just not to wait, and we can start with this final. This is the last webinar we made to before during the open call, and this is the last one, which will be what we have already provided to you, but we'll also try to provide you more details on the application, and also we'll have more time for the questions and answers. So first of all, and you will see this slide like popping out in my presentation like kind of advertisement, because we just want to remind you many times that the application deadline is 29th of May. This is a Friday until 6 p.m. Central CEST time. Okay, so this is very important because even if you'll be late like half an hour, the system is no longer accepting the application. So please, we just want to make you aware to submit it on time. So first, about me a little bit, those of you who have joined the webinars before, I'm Isabella, and I'm coming from FundingBox, who is responsible for organizing the open call in the WeldGalaxy project. And we have with us also Geoff. Geoff, are you here? Just checking if I saw you on the chat, but can you say hello?
Yes, hello, I'm here. Good afternoon,
Okay.
Isabella. Good afternoon, everyone.
Great. So we'll today, well, together with Geoff, we'll give you the resume of the most important information about this open call, also about the benefits, about the requirements. We'll have kind of a bonus about the description of the application form. I will tell you a little bit about the section of the implementation, because I believe it's important. And at the end, you could ask the questions. Okay, so first of all, the videos from the first and the second webinar, they're available on the open call website. You just have to go to guides and documents, and there you have a link to the first and to the second webinar. Okay, so this is in case you missed the previous ones. And well, what is WeldGalaxy? And so we're the consortium who has started to work in 2018, and the project is led by TWI, the Technology Welding Institute from England. And as I mentioned, well, FundingBox is responsible for open call management, but we are 11 partners, and all of us are working towards creating the platform for the welding industry, which maybe Geoff can tell you something more about. Geoff, if you can take a lead on this slide, please.
Hello, Isabella. Yeah, sorry, what was the question?
I would like you to introduce the platform. Okay, as you're a specialist in the welding industry, I think it's better for people who are from welding to hear it from you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, the WeldGalaxy platform is a knowledge-based business platform for Arc Welding. The important aspect of this is it is knowledge-based. So what we are doing within the WeldGalaxy project is collecting information and knowledge about arc welding, and this information is then used as the basis to make decisions about welding equipment and consumables and the correct process to use for making any weld. So as this slide here shows, that we are collecting this information, compiling it in one database, and then the idea of the platform is an end user will go onto the platform and can interrogate the platform for information, and that will then lead to the a list of candidate equipment and consumables, and then the user can go on and negotiate with the suppliers. So part of the open call is to we not only want innovations in welding, but we also would like projects which will lead to providing information that can be put on the platform And another important aspect of this is that the successful applicants will be asked to evaluate the platform as well as part of the project. Okay, Isabella?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So that was the important part that I wanted to underline, that in general the project is focused on the platform, but the open calls and the innovations that will be selected in the open calls are very important as well. Okay, so thanks for this summary. So in numbers, as a general summary, we will organize 2 open calls during all the project, and we'll select 25 pilots. So in this open call, it's for 10 pilots. In the second one, which will be probably organized in 2021, it will be 15. And in total, the budget to finance this project selected is 2.5 million. And well, as I already mentioned, we are 11 partners that are working on that, and the program that the selected pilots will be accepted to last 6 months. So these are the most important figures. And as for the benefits, which you probably already know if you're here, but as you know, each pilot will receive up to 100,000 of funding. You also receive the technical support from TWI. So on the next slides, I will also ask Geoff to explain a little bit on what's under the technical support. There will be also the business mentoring from FundingBox. So we'll also help you with taking this technology and going to the market. And as we already mentioned, the WeldGalaxy platform account and also the media exposure. We're doing also our best to disseminate the information about the pilots that will be supported. So Geoff, it's again to you. If you can tell something more about the technical support from TWI that will be provided.
Okay, thanks, Isabella. Very nice picture of the TWI building laboratories. We're located just outside Cambridge in the UK. In the laboratories, we have a full range of equipment for arc welding, including the processes mentioned here in the slide: manual TIG, plasma, MIG-MAG, and sub-arc. And we have both manual and robotic mechanized systems. So for the successful applicants for the project, we will be able to make these resources available for the applicants to be able to demonstrate their technology in a laboratory stroke industrial environment, which we have at TWI. Also, we have many experts, not just in arc welding, but also in associated subjects. There's a nice slide there which shows our expert support in terms of welding engineering, as well as support in terms of materials and NDT inspection. So we can bring this expertise of TWI to the project to help develop your technology. I don't know if you've got the next slide, Isabella, about the other support factors. We don't particularly need that one because that's the various industry sectors we operate in. But we also have a very good library at TWI, and we have information technologists who can provide support as well to your projects.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Geoff, for this introduction. So that's I think very important information, and also that will be connected with with my few slides that I will introduce the implementation part of the application form. But so thank you. And well, I will now pass to the open call process and the requirements. Okay, just to briefly summarize how we will select those 10 pilots in the first open call. So as you know, the open call will be until 29th of May, and then we'll do the eligibility check. So basically, each pilot will pass for the filter to check if you fulfill the requirements that are described in the guide for applicants in section 3. I will also summarize them in the next slides, but this will be the first check to check if you're eligible. And if you are, then the pilot will pass to the external evaluation. So we have a pool of the evaluators from the experts from the welding industry that will review those pilots, those applications, according to the criteria that I will also explain later, and they will be scored and will help us to create the ranking that at the end will be presented on the consensus meeting to the selection committee, and who will decide, who will make the final decision of the 10 companies that will be selected, 10 pilots that will be selected. So the whole process will last, I mean, the winners will be announced during the first week of July. But of course, on the each step of the selection process, we will also send the notifications to keep you updated if you pass or not and what's happening. And those 10 pilots will be invited to during the 2 months of July and August. They will pass the formal or legal check, how we call it. So we will check the SME status, all the eligibility criteria. And so you'll be asked some documents before you will sign the final sub-grant agreement, which is the official document to enter to the training program. Okay, so this is more or less the process. And as for the application, here I underline two tips, technically important, because it is very important to not wait until the last moment. Okay, so please avoid submitting the application at 5 p.m., so 1 hour before deadline, because we have the option that you can submit your proposal even on like 2 days before, and then you can keep editing it. Okay, so this is important to not lose, like, because of 1 hour difference or some mistake. It's really better to submit, or at least on Friday morning. Okay, so avoid submitting in the last moment, because you can always edit before the final deadline. Okay, so this is a very important tip. And the others are that you can add the contributors to your application form. So if you are working with your consortium partner, you can also add them in the application form. And yes, these are like this is very important thing to remember about now in this final 2 weeks. And for the criteria, so again, about the scope, I will also ask Geoff to comment on that, about the arc welding and also about the technological challenges. These are the two very important things. And later I will comment a little bit about more formal ones that are related to the size of your company or where you registered. And all of these are, as I mentioned, included in the section 3 of Guide for Applicants. So here, Geoff, again, I want to ask you to say something more about what we expect from the innovations in arc welding.
Okay. Arc welding, as I guess most of you know, is quite a mature process. It started back in around about 1906, I always say, when Oscar Schellberg invented the covered electrode. And indeed, still today, we use that technology that was developed now over 100 years ago. But also, arc welding is still one of the most widely used welding processes, and over the last few years there have been significant developments in the technology in terms of automation, robotics, monitoring, and control of the process. So within these open innovation calls, we're looking for further innovations that we can bring in to the arc welding industry, which will allow improvements to the process, and I think particularly improve innovations which lead to higher productivity and to higher quality. So it's a very general remit. We're casting the net quite widely, and we look forward to seeing what ideas that you come up with. Okay, Isabella?
Yes, thank you. And here, if you can also tell us a little bit more about the challenges, which are actually one of the requirements in the application form. Each of the applicants will have to mark which of technological challenges you dedicate your proposal to. So I'm not sure if here you want to add any word to this that were defined.
Okay, yeah, as I mentioned, it's quite a wide remit of ideas that we're looking for, and we will then evaluate those to see how they meet our requirements. Try to provide a bit of guidance here and come up with some technology challenges. And these are aligned to the intent of the WeldGalaxy platform, and also aligned to where I believe we're likely to see innovations in arc welding. So systems and tools that support plug and produce manufacturing of arc welding equipment. These are innovations which are basically additions, modules that we can apply to the arc welding process, and will give us an improvement in that process. That could be an improvement in terms of the quality, in terms of the accuracy of the parameters, or something like this. Innovations to improve arc welding productivity. I'm thinking here of process developments that allow us to weld thicker materials faster. And there have been some recent innovations in that area. I'm sure there's a lot more out there that we look forward to hearing about. Intelligent, flexible arc welding robotics. Arc welding robots are still pretty dumb systems. They are very good at following instructions, but for arc welding, we do need adaptive control systems, which can adapt to variations in part fit up and joint alignment. And increasingly, innovations in health and safety in the environment are important. And I'm thinking here, for instance, in terms of welding fume, welder safety, and also the environmental impact of making a weld. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, and here it's about the technology. The one of the eligibility requirements, it's also important about the level. Here I'm sure, Geoff, if you want to comment, or should I cover this? But
I'll allow you to cover this one.
Yeah, so basically, well, the minimum level is TRL 5. Okay, so this is important. We are following the European Commission names for this. So this is also included in the guide for applicants. And the goal is to support you to raise one TRL level more. Okay, so this is also important to remember about as one of the requirements. As for the legal part, well, the proposals can be submitted by one company or by the consortia, but within one or in consortia, there has to be always SME or MidCap. Okay, so this is very important. This kind of funding that the European Commission gave to the project is dedicated to SMEs or MidCaps. So that is why, even if you apply in consortium, you should, well, the SME would be like the leading or the coordinating company. Okay, that would be that will sign the contract with the project, and that will receive the funding, which later will redistribute among the consortium partners. So you really need to check if you have this status or SME or MidCap, and there are two things that are evaluated in this case. One is the headcount, the most important one, because it includes both SME and MidCap definition. So in SME, it's less than 250 people hired, right, the headcount, and in MidCap is less than 3,000. Okay, so these are the most important ones. And additionally, for the SME definition, your annual turnover should be less or equal to 50 million. Okay, so this is also something important. In case if you have doubts about these definitions, you can always write to us or read the European SME guide. Okay, this is very readable document where you can easily understand what is exactly behind this definition. But from the short point of view, these are the main criteria. And of course, well, this is the European program, so all the consortium companies or one company have to be from the European countries or associated, which are listed here below. So make sure that you're registered in Europe. And the other things which are also important, and you can find in the section 3, is like no conflict of interest with the WeldGalaxy partners. So here you will have also to check if you're not connection or if any of the partners is not a shareholder. This is always checked from the both sides, but it's also very important to remember about. You can submit only one application. Okay, even if you will apply with different consortia, you can apply only with one. Applications are, of course, have to be in English, so we'll be able to read it. And as I mentioned here, important that we are really strict with the deadline. So please make sure you submit it before 6 p.m. 29th of May. And that's about the eligibility in short. Now I'll pass to the application form. I hope, well, that some of you have already started the application, so you probably know a little bit what I'm talking about. So each sections that were with the red star under the link and in the application form are obligatory. This from 1 to 4, these are the general info. Okay, so basic information, the legal information about the coordinating entity. So here you should put the SME if you're in consortia. And then the third part, please also here a small comment, because if you're applying as a one company, you have to enter to the section 3 and mark that you apply as the one company. Okay, otherwise you'll be not allowed to submit. So you have to. I advise you to enter to each section anyway, and then it's very easy to follow. And in the pilot description, it's the general introduction of your idea. But you can also submit there the link to the website if you have it. And if you would like, we also have the option to submit a short video of 10 minutes where you can present your team. It does not have to be professional, so you can just sit in front of the camera with your team and explain why you are doing this, what was the original idea, and well, tell something more. So this is something that I was always saying, that it's very nice for evaluators to see the face, and we have this option. So it's not obligatory, but very recommendable to do that. And from the scored sections, so these are the ones that the evaluators will score, the excellence, impact, and implementation. Okay, the excellence is mostly focused on your technology and like to show what is the innovation level of this technology. The impact is focused more on how it will influence the welding market, but also there are some criteria about the social and environmental impact, which are also very important for European Commission. So that's why we also include this question here. And the implementation, the final one. So how do you plan to use these resources that are offered? Are your plans feasible to do? And also your team. So who is behind it? Do you have enough experience to do this pilot? So today here's the arrow, because I would like to give you a little bit more insights to this section. So that the implementation section is divided into work plan. So this is the first subsection where we ask you to write orientative list of tasks. Okay, so it doesn't have to be very big plan. Okay, you can, I would say that even like six tasks is like the optional. Okay, just to see what do you think you will do. We understand that once you are selected and you will sit with the consortium, with TWI, you make a proper plan. Okay, but at least with these tasks, we want to know what you would like to do with WeldGalaxy. And well, the perfect description how it should be included is just like to write the one sentence and include in the brackets from which month to which month you would like to do this. As you know, it's 6 months of the program, which will start in October. So you can also kind of imagine the time frame, okay, from that point. Then there's also a section about the KPIs. So this is something important. You also, at the beginning of the program, you will have to speak with your technical mentor or with TWI on what would be the goals that you want to achieve. Okay, I know that from the technical point of view, sometimes it's very difficult to set up the KPIs, but this is just the recommendation. And as I mentioned, this will be something that that later on, if you are accepted, will be, of course, customized better. But also we want to know if you have some ambitious goals or if they're realistic. So these KPIs will also help us to evaluate that. And my advice is, well, that the KPIs, we always say that they should, like, you should use the SMART rule. So they should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Okay, so it's always good to include, like in case of robotics, it's always good to include some number of that you want to achieve, but it's really up to you how you want to define it. And well, in the project, the goal in general is to help you to raise 1 TRL more. Okay, but well, in general, there will be a check in month 3 and then in month 6. okay, at the end. So you have to schedule this try to schedule these KPIs for these 2 periods, okay, every 3 months. And in the section resources needs, I think that here what Geoff said was also very important to you, because you can already somehow estimate maybe what from these resources you would like to use or would be interesting for you. And also don't hesitate to write about your business needs. So if you will need some support in marketing or in fundraising or any other business related support, is also well seen. So that's for the work plan. As for the budget, where we also, there's one question when we ask you more or less to estimate the budget. It does not have to be very detailed, but we would like to know more or less how it will be redistributed among the consortium partners if you apply in consortium, and what do you think you will use it for, to the personnel or to some equipment that you need to perform the pilot, or would it, well, travel, there will be always the travel, but I guess it will never be the biggest part of the budget. But if you can provide some inputs on that, it's always good. And here, I just wanted to mention, because in the previous webinars, many of you were asking what happens if you received like funding from SME instrument or from some other projects. So this is not a problem, okay? And here you only have to remember that if you're involved in another project, you have to be sure that the funding that you receive from the other project will not be used to develop the pilot in WeldGalaxy, and vice versa. So there is always this double funding rule that we'll also explain to beneficiaries, but as there were many questions about that, I decided also to bring it here. That basically the budget that you receive should be dedicated to the pilot with which you apply to the WeldGalaxy project, in one sentence. And there is also a very short question at the end about the ethics. This is something that will be also evaluated with the winners, but there is a small section just to make sure that, like, to identify it with the advanced. And we're really, well, we do not want to complicate it too much for you. So that's why here I just included like 6 main ethical issues which might happen, or which are underlined by European Commission. So from this, I believe in the projects from the welding industry, there might be maybe something with the personal data. So you really do not have to write all the plan, but you can say how you're handling it in one sentence. And well, military applications, this is sometimes important too, that the funding cannot be dedicated to develop the military applications, but this is very detailed. But well, it's included in the application form, so in case you are wondering what are the ethical issues that might arise, these are the main points in the projects that are evaluated. And that's it about the implementation part. That has number 7. Then we have also the statistical section, which is very helpful for us and also for European Commission to understand your project. This is the optional section, but we would really appreciate if you could also fill this. And the declaration of honor and processing of personal data, which are also the formalities that are needed in this process. And if you need help, once again, I think the guides and documents is like the most important place where you can find the support. So you really should read the guide for applicants. If you have doubts after that, you can check the frequently asked questions, where we actually try to add also the questions that we received during the last 2 months. If you still have questions after that, you can also ask in our community. We have a special community for welding industry, and here is the section open innovation support. Okay, so you can ask there. And well, if you just want to ask us directly, you can also send us an email. Okay, so there are many ways to ask, but we always reply as soon as we can. And of course, important to try to not wait to the last minute with the questions, so we could help you with advance. And yeah, remember to apply until 29th of May. As I already mentioned, this is important deadline. And in short, well, after the open call, I think I already mentioned that you will pass to the legal check and the sub-grant agreement, so I'll not repeat. And in the beginning of October, we'll organize the welcome event in Cambridge. Well, we hope that this will happen in presential, where you will meet with all the consortium and well, all the plan for your technical support, business support, and also for your inputs for the platform will be discussed. And for those that might not be aware, this is in the section 7. I think it's important also to know that the payment of this 1,000 is separated in 3 stages. So please not expect you receive everything up front. This is important because in the training program, well, we need to make sure that this is also achievable and that you follow the plan. And that's basically it from the resume and from what you should know about the open call. Well, please raise your hand because we are thinking that now it's time for the questions, although I see that we do not have the raise your hand option in the GoToMeeting tool. So I believe you cannot raise your hand because we will not see it. So I would suggest that you can just ask directly if you have any additional questions. Paul, how do you want to manage that?
Yeah, I think that this is how we can proceed. Maybe if you guys have a question and to avoid 2 people asking a question at the same time, just maybe type the letter Q or question in the chat, and I can call your name, and you can ask your question. Maybe we can do it this way.
Oh, great.
So let's see.
Does anyone have questions?
Okay, so Xarian, you unmute yourself and speak out loud.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello.
Okay. So thanks for all these clarifications. I was wondering what happens to the intellectual property that might be gained throughout the project. Is it then exclusive to this consortium, or could we use this knowledge also elsewhere?
Mm-hmm. Well, with the IP, what happens is that when you start working or when you're preparing the individual training plan, so when you start the program, that is when you have to speak with the technical mentors on the work that you will perform. So it really depends if it will be the joint results, okay, or if it will be the individual result that you develop under the program, and what agreement will be made. Okay, so this is something that is usually agreed between the technical leader and the results that you plan to achieve.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Then Isa, we have a question from Laurent. When does the project start exactly? After October 2020. So I think Laurent, you referred to the training program. I guess that would be the question for you, Isa.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I was just thinking because it's a 6 months program, right? So it should start from October, or that just to have the period of time. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, so it starts in October. Yes, with this event, with this 3 days event. So for now, we keep it as the presential event in Cambridge, but well, we are preparing the plan B in case if it cannot happen face to face. But yeah, this is the official start of the program. Yeah, October.
And then it comes 6 months from that date to date.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Then Isa, we have a question from Florian. Can you apply if you're not in the arc welding business, but in new metal interconnection technologies, which might solve issues, limits of arc welding? So actually, this might be more a question for Geoff.
Yeah, I'll answer that one, Paul. Yes, the scope of the WeldGalaxy platform is arc welding. The intention isn't to introduce competing technologies. So although the technology may be may be developed in another sector, we do expect it to be used to enhance the arc welding process. So I think the answer generally is no. You can't apply if the technology that's being developed isn't for the arc welding process, I'm afraid.
All right. Then a question from Arturo. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so to the question, so only if the business is into arc welding, it's possible to apply, right? Did I get it right?
It's got to be relevant to arc welding.
Yeah. So if it's a different interconnection technology and not arc welding, then it's not possible to apply.
No, I'm sorry, that's outside the scope of the project, I'm afraid.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Then a question from Arturo. What should be the extension of the scored part of the proposal, Isa?
What should be the extension of the scored part of the proposal? I'm not sure if I understood this question. If someone could speak up to.
Yep. Arturo, would you mind?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm referring about the subtly length of the name of words about.
Yes, there is in each section. There is it's written how much, what is the maximum of the words. But usually, I think the longest one is up to 2,000, and the lowest is 500. I don't remember, but it's included in each question.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Then a question from Francisco. Fundación CIDO is a non-profit RTD center, and we are collaborating with the SME in the development of a welding technology. We can take part in a proposal but not receive funding, but can the SME subcontract us, and are the costs eligible, Isa? Do you need any clarification directly from Francisco, or do you?
No, the answer is that yes, the SME can subcontract. It's usually up to 15% of the whole work that should be done in the pilot. But I don't remember in the guide for applicants. It is also included that there might be some extensions to that. So basically, yes, the SME can apply and subcontract later some part of the work, but it should not be the too much, I would say. Okay, so there the rules are in the guide for applicants, but yeah.
Okay. Then a question from Savas. Are image-related technologies for the post-evaluation of arc welding quality in scope with the open call? So this would be more for you, Geoff, I believe.
Yes, Paul. If the technology is being applied to arc welding, then it is within the scope of the call. And I guess there's an extension of non-conventional NDT. So I would look forward to seeing what you propose.
Okay. And well, for the time being, this is it. Do you guys have any other question?
Okay.
All right. One for you, Isa. So a question from Berna. Our company is, I'm not sure actually able to spell out correctly this one, is serving. Thank you, Berna. Our company is serving for original equipment manufacturers for the production of arc welded parts. We are designing the processes, but there is a SME company that is working with us for equipment production. Is it possible to apply together? I guess for you, Isa.
I think it's more for a job. Don't
Okay.
push the.
Sorry.
I'm not sure. Is this more to do with funding?
It's
Because we've already
more.
talked about contracting. I mean, the call is open to SMEs and MidCaps, and the scope appears to be arc welding. So I think it's really down to how the consortium is arranged, and what the proportions of the funding are, if I understand the question correctly.
All right, Berna, you're welcome to unmute yourself if you want to clarify anything.
Yes, hello. I would like to understand the answer more deeply. I couldn't understand, so it's good or not. I couldn't understand it very well, sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. But I just reiterate the calls are open to SMEs and MidCaps. So if you fall within that bracket, then you can apply, and if it's arc welding, it is within the scope of the call. And so were you able to hear that?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Maybe it's my
Yes,
mistake.
yes, thank you very much. I got the answer.
Okay, Berna, we don't hear you very clearly. So if the answer is okay for you, you can just okay, great. You confirm it to the chat. Thank you. Then Laurent, we will probably need the support expertise of TWI. How to organize that? The project period is short, counting 6 months from October 2020. Can we discuss before the welcome event? Of course, if selected.
The support from TWI will be through our group of engineers, so that will be available throughout the 6 months to advise on any aspects. It's a bit like the duty engineer that we run for our member companies, and also and we will need to also make accessible a robot welding cell, but that will be for you will need to book that in depending on when you'll be ready to demonstrate the technology. It's certainly something we can discuss if your proposal is successful. Yes.
All right. Then a question from you, Xarian, if you want to speak up.
Yeah, thank you. So I have actually 2 questions. The first one is this funding sum of 100,000 assigned to each applicant, or does it change depending on specific factors? And if so, which kind of factors? And the second question is, in this mentoring program, does that involve obligatory sessions where you have to be present at certain locations? So that would be a second one.
I'll answer the last question first. I mean, in terms of mentoring, we will need to work with you at the beginning to go through what your project is and how you plan to accomplish that project and what needs you have. I mean, this is something that we would have initially anticipated doing as face-to-face. I hope we can, but this particular time we've been unsure how that's going to work. But certainly there will be regular contact with us throughout the duration of the project. So what was the first question? It was about funding, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. If everybody receives the same funding, or if it depends on some factors.
The funding is per project, so we're funding 10 projects at £100,000 each.
And each partner gets the same amount, or it depends on some factors.
The lead partner, the SME, will get the full amount, which they then subcontract.
Okay.
In the consortium, you have to make your own arrangement how then the whole amount will be split basically the WeldGalaxy consortium will pay the amount to the SME, and then how it is agreed between the consortium members, this is not under our control, let's say. So this depends how you agree.
Okay.
So basically, the lead SME will get the full funding, and then they would then just distribute that funding. But it is a fixed amount of £100,000 per project to the lead SME.
Okay, thanks.
All right. No further question for now. So a question from Thibault. Is the webinar recorded and will it be available to watch again? Yes, we will provide a link to all the registered people in the Eventbrite event. So no problem. It will you'll have access to it.
Okay.
All right.
So I think that we're done with the round of questions, and so thank you very much for your involvement, and we're looking forward to see your applications. No, Geoff, I guess that's also, if you want to add anything to the end.
I think I will just add my last tip from last time, Isabella. We look forward to your proposals. I have three things which I always say are very important, and just to highlight, we're looking for innovation, we're looking for the market opportunity, and we need the details of the work plan, how you propose to do the project. So they're my three top tips, and I would like to wish you all the best of luck, and we look forward to seeing your proposals. Okay.
Thank you for everyone, and have a nice day. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.